You are stuck on a hamster wheel, running and running, trying to reach a destination that does not exist. This is the endless loop of validation. You crave approval, you seek it everywhere. But the more you chase, the more it slips away. You explain yourself to people who do not care. You justify your actions to those who will never understand. Stop doing this. This video will break that cycle. You will learn how to stop explaining yourself to those who do not deserve your energy. I want you to pause right now and comment "approval is a trap" below. Write it. Own it. Let every like on your comment remind you of this promise. The path to inner peace starts here. And it doesn't end with just knowing. There is a deeper, more powerful way. Advice 1. The Shield of Indifference. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. They believe that by explaining, justifying, and pleading their case, they will win over those who just do not care. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. He had power, wealth, and influence. Yet he faced critics and adversaries at every step. What did he do? Did he go around explaining himself to every senator, every soldier, every citizen who doubted him? No, he used the Shield of Indifference. He wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus knew that he could not control what others thought or said, but he could control his reaction. This is the lesson. Stop giving away your power by seeking approval. Indifference is not about being cold or uncaring. It is about focusing your energy on what you can control. Your actions, your thoughts, your growth. Here is what you need to do. Tonight, before you sleep, reflect on where you are wasting your energy. Who are you trying to win over? Write down every name, every face that comes to mind. Then, make a promise to yourself. Tomorrow, carry the Shield of Indifference. Notice how much lighter you feel. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. Recognize that this practice is a daily battle. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 2. The Echo Chamber Effect. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. It is where real growth happens. Imagine a young philosopher sitting in the marketplace of ancient Athens. His name is Diogenes. While others sought approval from the crowds, Diogenes did something different. He challenged the norms, often living as a beggar and sleeping in a tub. People mocked him. They laughed. They called him mad. But Diogenes had a different perspective. He was his own person, immune to the opinions swirling around him. When someone asked him why he behaved so unconventionally, his response was simple: "I am looking for an honest man." Now, what does this story teach you? It shows the power of clarity in a world full of noise. You see, most people live in an echo chamber. They listen only to voices that agree with them. They seek validation in familiar opinions rather than truth. Epictetus, another great Stoic, once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." What does this mean for you? It means that real improvement comes when you are willing to be misunderstood. When you step outside the echo chamber and challenge your own beliefs. But here is the part nobody talks about. Being outside the echo chamber can feel lonely. It is where your thoughts are not mirrored back to you, where your actions are questioned. But this loneliness is your compass. It points you towards growth and truth, beyond the comfort of agreement. Here is your action step. This week, seek out a conversation with someone who disagrees with you. Really listen to them. Challenge yourself to understand their viewpoint without needing to defend your own. And if this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. This practice trains your mind to hold its ground. It teaches you to find comfort not in agreement, but in understanding. But knowing this alone is not enough. Now that you understand this, let me show you the weapon that makes it stick. Advice 3. The Art of Silent Strength. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Imagine Marcus Aurelius. He was an emperor leading an entire empire. Yet, he did not spend his days explaining his every decision to win favor or understanding. Why? Because he knew the art of silent strength. Marcus often wrote in his personal notes, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." What does this say? It means focus on action, not on seeking approval or explaining yourself. In a world obsessed with validation, silent strength stands out. Think of a modern scenario. You are at work and have a new idea. It's bold, untested, but people question it. They demand explanations. So what do most do? They over-explain, seeking approval, and in the process, sometimes dilute their original thought. But here is the part nobody talks about. The more you explain, the weaker you appear. Why? Because explanations often sound like excuses, and people respect action over words. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. Silent strength isn't about ignoring others. It's about knowing when to speak and when to let your actions do the talking. It's about standing firm in your convictions without feeling the need to justify every step. Tonight, I want you to practice this. When faced with a challenge, resist the urge to over-explain. Take clear, deliberate action instead. Write down one area in your life where you've been explaining too much. Then decide one action you will take to demonstrate your strength without words. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. Silent strength is not passive. It is powerful and deliberate. It builds trust. It builds respect. It builds you. Most people stop here. Do not be most people, because there is something even more dangerous than seeking approval. It's the trap that awaits when you stop moving forward. Advice 4. The mirror test. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Picture Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, standing alone in his tent on the eve of battle. Rome was in chaos, and he bore the weight of an entire empire on his shoulders. Yet, he wasn't worried about how others perceived his decisions. He didn't seek approval from his generals or his enemies. Why? Because Marcus used what I call the mirror test. He would look into the mirror of his soul and ask himself, am I acting with virtue? Am I true to my principles? This self-examination was more powerful than any external validation. It was his internal compass, guiding him regardless of others' opinions. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This is a quote from Marcus Aurelius. It reminds us to focus on being true to ourselves instead of explaining ourselves to others. The lesson here is simple. True strength comes from within. It's about self-reflection, not self-explanation. The world is noisy. People will always have opinions. But you need to know who you are and what you stand for. Marcus didn't need public approval. He needed alignment with his own values. Now, here's what you can do. Tonight, before you sleep, stand in front of your mirror. Look at yourself and ask, am I living according to my values? Am I proud of my actions today? Write down what you see, not your physical reflection, but what you feel inside. This will reveal your true self, the part that doesn't need to explain or justify. And here's the part nobody talks about. When you align with your core, you attract others who respect you for who you are, not for the stories you tell. If this is resonating, hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that seeks truth, not approval. Now, let me leave you with a question. When you look in the mirror, whose approval are you really seeking? Answer that in the comments below. Face that answer, because the next step is vital. Advice 5. The wisdom of no reaction. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. Most people fear silence. It feels like a void they must fill with noise, explanations, and defenses. But here is a truth that will liberate you. the wisdom of no reaction. Picture a scene in ancient Rome. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, sat in his study. Outside, the city buzzed with politics, gossip, and the turmoil of an empire. Advisors rushed to him with concerns, criticisms, and endless noise. But Marcus, with calmness that could shake mountains, chose silence. He didn't react to every whisper. He didn't explain himself to every critic. Instead, he wrote in his journal. One day, he penned these words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus understood that his energy was best spent mastering himself, not battling the winds of external chaos. But here is the part nobody talks about. In today's world, every comment, every message, every glance demands a reaction. And in reacting, you lose your power. The Stoics teach us that true mastery lies in choosing silence over needless reaction. When you don't react, you conserve your strength. You focus on what truly matters, your own peace and purpose. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. When you master the art of no reaction, you become untouchable. People may try to provoke you. They may hurl words like stones. But their words only have power if you let them. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. Here's your action. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? More often than not, the answer will be no. In that pause, you reclaim control. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 6. The armor of self-approval. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. They seek approval from everyone but themselves. They wear their insecurities like a badge, chasing validation from the outside world. But what if I told you that waiting for approval is a fool's errand? Imagine a soldier standing firm in the battlefield of life, immune to the chaos around him. That soldier could be you, but only if you put on the armor of self-approval. Let's take a journey back to ancient Rome. Once again, we find Marcus Aurelius, not as the confident ruler we remember, but a young man, just beginning to grasp the weight of an empire. Surrounded by advisors and critics, he could have drowned in their opinions. Instead, he forged his own path. He wrote in his journal, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it." Marcus knew something powerful. When you place your worth in the hands of others, you hand over your peace. He realized that the only judgment that truly mattered was his own. And this is where it gets dangerous. You let the world dictate how you feel about yourself. You live on the roller coaster of others' opinions, never finding solid ground. Why live like that? Here is the lesson from the Stoics. Stop seeking approval from the outside. Use your own measure of self-worth. You decide if you are enough. So, how do you build this armor of self-approval? Start by owning your choices. When you make a decision, stand by it. Did you take a risk? Good. Be proud of your courage. Are you learning from mistakes? Even better. Growth is your ally. And when doubt creeps in, remember this. Your approval is the only one you need. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. Here's your action for today. Stand in front of a mirror. Look yourself in the eye and affirm this. I am enough. Do this daily. Let it sink into your bones. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 7. The external noise filter. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. It's time to face the noise that fills your life. The constant chatter of opinions and judgments. In ancient Rome, Seneca observed the same chaos in the bustling markets and crowded forums. People shouted over each other, each voice louder, claiming to know what was best for everyone else. Seneca didn't let this noise dictate his peace. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He understood that the real battle raged within. The opinions of others are just noise, but the way you let them affect you is the real enemy. Think about your own life. Every day, you face a storm of inputs. Social media, friends, family, strangers on the internet. Everyone has something to say about who you are and what you should do. It's easy to get lost in it, to question your path. But here's the Stoic lesson: filter the noise. Recognize that most opinions are just passing clouds, without substance or truth. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Simply put, you control your response. Decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. You don't need everyone to agree with your choices. When you silence the noise, you hear your true voice. That is the one you must listen to. So, here's what you will do. Create your own noise filter. Write down 3 things that truly matter to you. It could be your values, your goals, or the things that bring you peace. Whenever external noise tries to shake you, return to this list. Let it ground you. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. Remember, you are not here to please the world. You are here to be true to yourself, to live a life you can stand by, regardless of the noise around you. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is something even more dangerous waiting. Advice 8, the Lighthouse Principle. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. It's about something even more dangerous: the need to explain yourself to people who don't actually care. Imagine a lighthouse. It stands tall, unyielding, guiding ships safely to shore through stormy seas. The lighthouse doesn't move for the ships. It doesn't change its light based on their opinions. It simply shines. Take a moment to think about Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor. He faced constant pressure from advisors, senators, and the endless demands of a vast empire. Imagine if he explained every decision, tried to justify every action. Chaos. Instead, he wrote in his journal, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This means live by your values, not by the approval of others. You see, Marcus Aurelius understood the Lighthouse Principle. He knew his purpose, and he stayed true to it no matter the storm. And here's where you must pay close attention. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. In your life, there will be those who doubt you, those who question every step you take. But be the lighthouse. Stand firm. Do not waste energy explaining every move or defending your choices. Instead, let your actions speak. Let your consistent behavior and values shine the light. So, tonight, before you sleep, do this. Write down one decision or value that you will stand by, no matter the opinions around you. Think of it as your lighthouse light. When the noise gets loud, look to that light. Let it guide you back to yourself. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. But knowing this is only half the battle, because without one more tool, even the strongest lighthouse can dim. Advice 9, the Value Audit. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. They make a bold decision to follow their values, but they forget to check if those values are truly their own. And this is where it gets dangerous. Let's talk about Seneca. He lived in a world teeming with expectations. As an advisor to Emperor Nero, he was surrounded by politics and betrayal. Yet Seneca took the time to examine his life and values. He didn't assume that what was important was obvious or fixed. He once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This means that our unchecked fears and doubts often create more chaos than the situations themselves. Seneca's insight is powerful. If you do not take inventory of your core values and beliefs, then you are vulnerable. Vulnerable to the shifting winds of public opinion and the chaos of unexamined fears. Think of it like this. Imagine you are packing for a long trip, but instead of choosing what you need, you grab whatever is closest. You end up with a suitcase full of random items. This is the same as living a life without a value audit. You carry around beliefs and priorities picked up from other people without knowing why they matter to you. But here is the part nobody talks about. Conducting a value audit means sitting down and asking yourself, what do I truly value? Why do these values matter? How are these values reflected in my daily actions? Here's your action step. Tonight, carve out 30 minutes of quiet time. Write down your top 5 values. Next to each one, note why it matters to you. Not anyone else, just you. Then, reflect on your day. Did your actions align with these values? Where did you compromise? This practice will seem simple, but it is not easy. It requires courage to confront where you have been living on autopilot. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. Use Seneca's wisdom as your guiding star. Review your list weekly. Let it be a living, breathing document, evolving as you grow. This is not a task to check off, but a commitment to self-awareness. Now that you understand this, let me show you the weapon that makes it stick. Advice 10. The pivot of purpose. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. You've done your value audit. You know where you stand. But how do you take these insights and make them the foundation of your purpose? This is the pivot that separates those who merely exist from those who truly live. Picture Epictetus, once a slave in ancient Rome, gaining his freedom. He could have spent the rest of his days chasing wealth or status. Instead, he chose to live by his philosophy. His purpose was clear: to teach and embody Stoic principles. He understood that freedom wasn't about physical liberty, but about aligning life with purpose. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus's words hit like a hammer. First, decide who you want to be. Then, take the actions that make it real. Sounds simple? It is. But it is not easy. Most people never decide. They drift through life without a compass. One day they want one thing, the next they want something else. Their purpose is whatever happens to be convenient. They react instead of act, and they wonder why they feel lost. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. Purpose is not a luxury. It is your duty. It is the anchor that holds you steady in life's storms. Once you know what you stand for, nothing can sway you. Not the opinions of others. Not the fear of failure. You become unbreakable. Here is your action step. In the next 3 days, take your value audit and carve out one statement of purpose. One sentence that captures your mission. Write it down. Make it visible. Tape it to your bathroom mirror. Let it guide every decision you make. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For the version of you that needs this reminder next week. But knowing this alone is not enough. Because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 11. The authenticity anchor. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. The next step is what I call the authenticity anchor. You see, it is not enough to know your purpose. You must live it. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, had every reason to wear a mask. He could have been whoever he wanted. Yet, in the solitude of his journal, he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." He understood that true strength lies in being genuine. In a world where many wear different faces to please others, authenticity is your armor. It is your power. Picture this. You're at a job interview. You desperately want the position. So, you become what you think they want. You agree with things you don't believe in. You hide parts of yourself. You get the job, but at what cost? Every day, You wear a mask, and slowly, you lose yourself. Now pay attention. This is the danger. Living inauthentically is a prison you build yourself. Let's learn from Seneca, who wisely noted, "Let us not envy those who seem to be at peace, but are not. We know our own. What you know in your heart is more valuable than the facade others uphold." To live authentically, first, you must know yourself. Spend time in silence. Reflect on your values and beliefs. Challenge your thoughts. Then, act in ways that align with them. No exceptions. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For the version of you that needs this reminder next week. But here is the part nobody talks about. Authenticity isn't just about you. It is about the impact you have on others. When you are genuine, you inspire others to be the same. You become a light in a sea of shadows. Here is your action step. Tomorrow, identify a situation where you wear a mask. Maybe it is at work or with friends. Remove the mask. Speak your truth. Be unapologetically you. Now that you understand this, let me show you the weapon that makes it stick. Advice 12, the Mind Fortress. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. It means you are ready to hear it. Imagine a fortress. Strong walls, high towers, impossible to penetrate. This fortress is your mind, built to protect what is most precious, your inner peace. But here is where most people completely fall apart. They forget to defend it. They leave the gates wide open, allowing others to invade with their opinions, judgments, and noise. Let's turn to Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does it mean? It means that no matter what happens around you, your mind remains your domain. This is where you decide who gets in and who stays out. Consider the life of Epictetus. Born a slave, he understood that while others could chain his body, his mind was free. He chose his reactions and thoughts. He built his fortress, brick by brick, from the inside out. But most people stop here. Do not be most people. You need to act. Here is what you do. Choose one part of your day, perhaps your morning, when your mind is fresh. Guard it fiercely. During this time, refuse to engage with distractions. No emails, no news, no social scroll. Write down 3 things that matter to you. 3 values you want to live by today. Make them your focus. Feel your fortress grow stronger with every word you write. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For the version of you that needs this reminder next week. Remember, the world will try to breach your walls. It will knock and scream for your attention. 1,000 voices wanting you to prove yourself. But you owe explanations to no one. Your fortress is yours alone. But knowing this alone is not enough. Because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 13, the Freedom of Detachment. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Picture this. A young professional, Alex, constantly struggles to meet the expectations of others. Every decision is a tug of war between what they want and what others expect. Alex finds life stressful and hollow. Why? Because they're chained by the desire to explain, justify, and please others. Now, imagine if Alex discovered the freedom of detachment, the art of letting go of the need to satisfy anyone but themselves. This is the gift Stoicism offers, the freedom to detach. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled the greatest empire, said this: "If you are pained by eternal things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." In simple terms, external things only control you if you allow them to. Release your grip, and you'll find peace. But here is the part nobody talks about. Detachment does not mean not caring. It means caring more for your own peace than the chaos outside. It is choosing to hold your own values above all else. Remember Seneca, who faced exile but never lost his inner calm. He knew that carrying the world's expectations is a burden too heavy to bear. So he chose instead to carry light, his own truth. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. When you let go of the need to explain yourself to others, you reclaim your energy. You become the master of your own fate. You begin to act, not react. Here's your action. Tonight, before you sleep, reflect on one area of life where you feel the need to explain or justify yourself. Write it down. Then ask, why do I seek approval here? Decide on a small step to pull back from that need. It could be as simple as not replying to a message that demands justification, or choosing not to defend a decision. Trust yourself to act in line with your values. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. Let me show you the weapon that makes it stick. Advice 14. The Serenity Response. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Picture Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, standing at the edge of a battlefield. Warriors clashing, chaos surrounding him. In those moments, he found serenity not from the absence of noise, but within his own mind. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Here is how that played out. He didn't seek to control every soldier or every outcome. Instead, he focused on his own thoughts, actions, and responses. This was his serenity response. Now let's break down what this means for you. You cannot control the chaos around you, but you can control your reaction to it. Serenity is not a passive state. It is an active choice to focus only on what is truly within your power. But here is the part nobody talks about. Serenity means holding yourself steady when everyone around you is losing their minds. It means deciding that your peace is non-negotiable. Marcus Aurelius understood that trying to explain or justify himself to others would only drain his energy. Instead, he lived according to his own code, letting his actions speak louder than words. Now, let's put this into action. Tonight, before you rest, try this. Think about one situation where you often find yourself explaining or justifying your thoughts or actions. Write it down. Ask yourself, am I trying to control what others think? Or am I staying true to what I value? Choose one small way to let go of that need to explain. Maybe it is as simple as taking a deep breath before responding to criticism, or deciding not to engage in a conversation that drags you down. If you find this challenging, that's good. Growth happens in discomfort. Now that you understand this, let me show you the weapon that makes it stick. Advice 15. The Inner Judge. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Picture this. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, sitting in his simple tent amidst the chaos of military campaigns. Soldiers shouting outside, decisions waiting at every turn. And yet, he found a moment to write in his journal, not about the battles he fought with his army, but about the battles within himself. One entry reads, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words are a shield against your harshest critic, your own inner judge. Marcus reminded himself daily that true power lies within. He did not seek validation from the Senate or his soldiers. He valued his own judgment above all. Now let us bring this into today's world. We often look for approval from everyone around us, posting on social media, hoping for likes, explaining every choice, waiting for nods of agreement. But Marcus teaches us to trust our inner judge. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. Epictetus once said, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." In plain terms, it is not what happens outside that troubles you. It is how you perceive and judge it. So, How do you silence that inner judge? By aligning it with what truly matters to you, your values, your principles. Here is your mission. Tonight, before you sleep, write down 3 values you hold most dear. What guides your actions when no one is watching? Then, identify one area where you feel the need to explain yourself. It could be at work, with friends, or even with family. Decide on one small step to practice self-validation. Maybe it is holding back from explaining why you said no to a request, or standing by a decision you made without seeking approval. And here is the real lesson. You are the only one who can grant yourself approval. Own your decisions. Let your values be your compass. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. Remember, Marcus found his serenity not by changing the world, but by changing his response to it. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 16, the Stoic Stance. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. The Stoic Stance is not for the faint-hearted. It demands you to stand firm, even when the world tries to knock you down. Picture Marcus Aurelius, writing in his journal by the dim light of a candle in his war tent. Surrounded by chaos, he found calm. He understood that the world outside was unpredictable, but inside, he held power. You have power over your mind, not outside events, Marcus wrote. Realize this, and you will find strength. This was not just philosophy for him. It was a way of life. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. Marcus knew he could not control what others thought or said, so he did not waste precious energy explaining his every move. Instead, he chose to control his reactions and focus on what he could influence: himself. So what does this mean for you? Most people crumble under the weight of others' opinions. They explain, justify, and seek approval. They hope that by doing so, they will find peace. But peace does not come from external validation. It comes from within. Here is where the Stoic stance becomes your shield. When you embrace it, you choose to let go of the need for external validation. You stand by your values and decisions with quiet confidence. How do you start? The answer is simple yet challenging. Action. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, does this explanation align with my values? Or am I seeking approval? If it aligns, then proceed. If not, let it go. Practice this again and again until it becomes natural. And this is where it gets dangerous. If you do not hold your ground, you will end up living someone else's life, shaped by their judgments and expectations. But if you do, you build a life grounded in what truly matters to you. This is how you find true strength and peace. Now that you understand this, let me show you the weapon that makes it stick. Advice 17, the echo of silence. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. It's time to face the echo of silence. Imagine you're at a party. There's laughter, chatter, and clinking glasses. You stand there, surrounded by people, yet you feel alone. Why? Because despite the noise, there's an expectation to fill every silence with explanations, to justify your choices to people who might not even care. Now let's travel back to Athens, where Socrates was on trial for his life. The city buzzed with anticipation. He stood accused of corrupting the minds of the youth and disrespecting the gods. But here is the part nobody talks about. Socrates could have defended himself with long speeches and appeals for sympathy. Instead, he chose silence over needless justification. He spoke only to stand by his truth, not to appease the crowd. This is where the lesson of silence comes in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that. You often let others' opinions dictate your actions, seeking validation because you fear silence might mean weakness. But silence is not weakness. Silence is power. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. Silence forces you to confront yourself. It strips away the noise and exposes the truth. Are you living for yourself or dancing to the tune of others? This is the real question. Tonight, before you sleep, write down 3 times you felt the need to explain yourself today. Reflect on whether those explanations were necessary or just noise. Then, choose one instance where silence would have served you better. Commit to letting silence speak for you next time. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. Now, imagine a life where your peace is not stolen by others' judgments. A life where your actions are driven by your values, not by the fear of silence. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 18. The Unshakable Core. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. They fail to build an unshakable core. Picture Marcus Aurelius, sitting in his tent the night before battle. The air heavy with tension, the shadows of uncertainty looming. Yet, he wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus knew that the true battleground was within, not on the field, not in the opinions of the masses. Most people think their power comes from outside, from what others say or do. They give away their control. But strength lies in the mind. Ask yourself, how often do you let other people's words dictate your mood? How often do you lose yourself trying to fit into their boxes? The constant need to explain yourself is a sign of a shaky core. But here is the part nobody talks about. An unshakable core is built not by bulletproof walls, but by your unyielding values. Marcus didn't draw strength from titles or armies. He found it in his principles. And you must do the same. Now, what does this mean for you? It means you must deeply know what you stand for. Reflect on your values. Write them down. This is your ground zero. Tonight, decide what you won't compromise on. What beliefs you will carry, no matter the storm. This will be your armor. Your unshakable core. Most people stop here. Do not be most people. When you're tempted to defend yourself, pause. Let your silence prove your strength. Let your actions echo louder than words. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is something even more dangerous. Advice 19. The noise-canceling mindset. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. They hear the noise around them and feel the pull to respond, to justify, to defend. Imagine a young Roman senator rushing through the bustling streets of Rome. Every passerby had an opinion. "You're too young to lead," they'd shout. "You lack experience." But this senator, instead of engaging, walked on. His name was Seneca. He wrote, "If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person." He knew the truth. The world will always be loud, but you don't have to let it drown you. The noise-canceling mindset is this: choose what deserves your attention. Most voices are distractions. They pull you from your path, plant seeds of doubt, and keep you from your true purpose. But pay attention. Not every voice deserves your response. Think of your mind as a fortress. The stronger it is, the less you need to defend. Marcus Aurelius would sit alone at night, reflecting, not to shut the world out, but to strengthen his resolve. He knew that his mind was his greatest ally. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, Marcus wrote. This means you decide what thoughts deserve space in your mind. Push aside the noise, and what you find is clarity. So what do you do with this? Practice deliberate focus. Tonight, before you sleep, List 3 things you value most. These are your pillars. When the world tries to distract you, go back to them. Use them as your guide. And this is where it gets dangerous. People around you will challenge you. They will test these values. This is when you must be unyielding. Remember, you cannot control their words, but you can control your reaction. In those moments, choose silence over noise. Let your calmness be your strength. Silence is not weakness. It's power. It's showing the world that your worth isn't tied to their opinions. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the version of you that needs this reminder next week. But knowing this alone is not enough. Now that you understand this, let me show you the weapon that makes it stick. Advice 20. The Liberation Protocol. This next part might make you uncomfortable. Good. It's time to introduce you to the Liberation Protocol. Picture this. Epictetus, once a slave, became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. He taught that freedom is not about your external conditions. It's about your internal state. Imagine him, bound in chains but mentally free, because he had mastered the art of not explaining himself to those who didn't care. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, he said. Epictetus understood the power of control over one's own mind. This means you decide how much weight others' opinions carry in your life. You decide who deserves an explanation and who doesn't. But here is the part nobody talks about. Most people bend over backward to justify themselves to those who have no stake in their success. They waste precious energy trying to convince people who have already decided. They are like Epictetus chains, visible but no longer binding. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. The Liberation Protocol is simple yet powerful. Stop explaining yourself to those who do not believe in you. Every time you try to justify yourself to someone who dismisses your values, you sacrifice a piece of your freedom. So what do? Here's your action. Tonight, identify one person or situation where you find yourself over-explaining. Write it down. Reflect on why their opinion matters to you and question if it truly should. Decide on a way to end this cycle. Maybe it's a simple thank you for your input, or choosing silence instead of defense. By doing this, you reclaim energy. You shift focus back to those who truly matter. You start to live not by the judgment of others, but by your own standards. Most people stop here. Do not be most people, because there is something even more dangerous. The final word, embrace your true power. Remember the poison you put in your veins? It's time to flush it out. The poison is the need to explain yourself to people who don't care. You've been gifted a chance to strip away this burden. You reclaim what is yours. Your energy, your focus, your power. This video has been a guide to living a life of intention, not reaction. To step away from the shadows of others' judgments and to stand in your own light. You are the sculptor and the sculpture. The words of Epictetus echo this. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your freedom is in your reactions, and how you choose to wield them shapes your reality. Today, we say no more to bending your soul to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. This is your manifesto, a declaration to embrace the power of silence when it serves you, to live without chains, visible or imagined, to build a fortress of self-belief that no external opinion can breach. Your true power? It's in knowing when to act and when to stay silent, when to engage and when to let go. It's the strength to walk alone if necessary, but never lonely, because your conviction is your company. Now, here is your call to action. Subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And I will see you in the next one. Take this knowledge and become unstoppable.